Hey, I'm Duke on Twitch. If you want to support the channel and greensunzenith.com, you can find my Patreon, merch store, and singles store where you can buy singles through TCG Player or Card Hoarder in the video description. If you want to get in contact, you can also find all that info in the description below for things like donation deck lists or just wanting to reach out. Alright, let's get right into it. Hey, hope you're enjoying the content. A huge thank you as well just to my patrons quickly, not only those who currently support me, but those who've been part of the Zenith in the past. It's a pretty phenomenal feeling to be supported by other players, not just in the Maverick or Legacy sphere, but those who just enjoy Magic content. My content will never be behind a paywall, and these patrons allow that to continue to happen. You may have also noticed I've stopped adding ads during my YouTube videos, and that's not just a quality choice, but also a direct outcome of having people support me through platforms like Patreon, doing a nation deck list. So a huge thank you to you. I love what I do. I love being a community member of the Maverick and even Depths communities, the wider Legacy community in general, and it's a privilege. So thank you. All right, let's get back into it. Hey, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with a donation deck list from Patreon. This is from Jan, and it's got a few little criteria to it. This is a green-white list that has to include Green Sun Zenith, given the platform, has to include or wants to try out Nissa, Resurgent Amethyst, and also Titania, Protector of Argoth. Titania is a card from, I believe, Commander 14 was the first printing, and I've tried it in multiple formats and really enjoyed it. Really, really powerful card. A little bit open to a range of removal. Lightning Bolt hitting a 5-drop isn't great. Obviously, Karakas as well can keep it off the field. But I do like that it does get value on ETB, which is fantastic, usually giving you back a land like a Wasteland or a Windswept Heath that you can trade straight away back in for a 5/3 token. So typically getting 10 power for 5 mana, which is pretty nice. The one card that I really like with Titania is Sylvan Safekeeper, not just because it protects it from all the removal, things like Bolt, things like Sheoldred's Edict. It is a creature, a non-token creature. Karakas as well. And being able to sacrifice a land at instant speed is pretty sweet with Titania, given that you can pretty much sacrifice your board. Say you have the 5 lands, you're then going to end up with around 30 power. So that's a pretty great trade-off. One card we didn't want to play in this list was Dark Depths. A little bit too combo-y and wanted to focus on other ways to win. Hopefully Titania being the way to win in most of our games, but we'll see. We are running just 1 Titania and 2 Nissas due to Green Sun Zenith. Having multiple copies of them in the deck is a little bit awkward, so being able to have virtual copies in Green Suns is really nice. Nissa is a pretty sweet card, so it's a legendary creature, 3/3. When it enters the battlefield under your control, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, which is pretty awesome. And then if this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, so say a fetch land, or using a Knight activation or a Reclaimer, you can reveal cards from the top of the library until you reveal an elf or a elemental and put that into your hand, the rest at the bottom of the library. So with a fetch land or a wasteland, a fetch land, most of the time a fetch land, we can get access to a free Reclaimer, which we also get to play around Daze because we get 2 mana, an Endurance, which is pretty sweet, or a Solitude. It was a little bit hard to build a deck around Nissa where you only had 1 target. You could do something like no Reclaimers, 1 Nissa, so it doesn't hit itself, and then just Endurance, and then maybe Solitude in the board, and you could switch between them based on what you're playing against, and that way you know if you have Nissa and say a Crop Rotation or something open, then you will make sure you will hit what you want each time, which is pretty sweet. This is a Mox Diamond deck. I think that makes a lot of sense. It has a lot of play to it from what I've played with Green-White Maverick, Abzan Mav to some extent, the Depths versions of Green-White to Naya to Abzan. So I did want to have the Mox Diamonds. I think that's a really great way to start with this deck. Trying to get to most likely 6 mana at some point, either with Titania and Safekeeper or Titania Crop Rotation for Sejiri Steppe open. I did also look for other ways to win the game, things like Field of the Dead. The issue with Field of the Dead is you probably want to have some sort of exploration effect in the deck to build towards Field of the Dead. This sort of deck with crop rotations, knights, reclaimers typically gets to 5 or 6 mana, and then it usually goes against your game plan just to keep playing lands and doing nothing with them. Reclaimer can sometimes work with Field, thanks to Flagstones and just getting different lands, but typically there you want to be at least 3 color and maybe have a Triome or a Plateau as another card you can get off Flagstones. So yeah, what I wanted to do with this deck was obviously Green Sun's Titania and Nissa package. Gaddock Teeg I just like in the deck as a Green Sun's target against unfair decks. I don't want to be too fair and just have nothing. Similar to Swords to Plowshares, I think for any sort of green-white list, it should most likely start with just 4 swords. There's just not a better removal spell in the format in white. The Knights and Reclaimers, only 2 Knights just because we do have multiple ways to kind of go along that path. We also have things like Endurance, which are beat down pretty well against a lot of decks and don't rely on the graveyard, which is nice. The Solitudes I'm okay with. We can get to 5 mana pretty easy. I did even have an Ancient Tomb in here because we can do things like Mox Diamond Tomb, Nissa, or, Mox Diamond Tomb, Green Suns for 2 on turn 1, or, turn 1 Ramunap, or get Titania down a turn earlier, but just a little bit awkward. The life gain really adds up as well, which I'm not a big fan of, especially against a deck, or against a format with things like Troll, Grixis Delve with Bolton and Orcs. That life loss can really add up. I do still have a stage in the mana base. I just want to see how it goes by itself. I think if people see stage, they think of depths instantly, which might make them play a little bit around depths, maybe hold up mana more than they have to. But I think stage as well, being able to copy things like Maze of Ith potentially, or even our own lands to some extent could be good. I added in the Canopy over the Ancient Tomb. Although it does deal us damage again, it does give us some amount of card draw with Ramunap. And it is card draw we can do when we want. So of course, if a Bowmaster is around, we don't have to go for it. But I do like having a draw land in a deck with 27 lands, just to sort of make sure we can sometimes try to turn lands into spells. That would be great. I'm a Sylvan Library fan, so any sort of Mox Diamond build, I always like Library. Mox Diamond is card disadvantage, so being able to follow up Mox Diamond with a card advantage engine like Sylvan Library is sweet. We don't have too many ways to effectively deal with Orcish Bowmasters, but for the matchups where we don't see Orc, I'm always happy to see Library. What else? Yeah, Outland Liberator. Again, kind of with Gaddock Teeg against some of those unfair things. I'm probably a bit of a safe player. I like to have something against, say, Chalice or Ensnaring Bridge, which aren't the be-all, end-all. Bridge probably more so, but Chalice is just annoying for this deck with things like Crop, Swords, Reclaimer, Green Suns. That I do like having access to Liberator in the main deck. Maze of Ith, of course, here is kind of like a half land with Yavimaya, if that, maybe like a 0.25 land. So Maze is really Swords number 5 to some extent. There's a lot of creatures in the format that Maze, that kind of gets laughed in the face of. Things like Uro, Archon, a lot of creatures that do something on attack. So Maze is a little bit tough. Also against a lot of the decks where you want it. When you think of Maze, you think of Murktide, you think of Troll, the big threats. And in those decks are typically Wasteland. With this deck being just green-white, potentially against those decks you want to go for your Savannahs early on, get Wastelanded, and then potentially just have Maze there to not really be interacted with. Obviously going wide with Maze as well with Stage is quite nice, having 2 copies is great. But yeah, I also thought about the other Titania, the new one, with the land that flips, which would be kind of cool, but yeah, I think for this sort of deck, I think this is pretty good, just to get sort of a draft 1 and see how this goes. I really like that Nissa is card advantage without actually drawing, which is a key part of the format right now. And playing around Orcish Bowmasters is pretty huge, so I do like that. I thought about Prismatic Ending, a lot of other like Green Sun targets, but I didn't want to go too into like a Maverick shell that just happened to play Titania and Nissa. I kind of wanted to play a little bit into it, so here we are. The sideboard is kind of just a cluster of cards that I think are decent in the format right now, and I want to have multiple copies to obviously see them often. Cards like Carpet and Veil and Deafening Silence you want to have in the early turns. Dismember is just a bit of an edge against Magus of the Moon, which obviously sees play a fair amount now. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. A big thank you to Jean for the list. Really keen to take this pretty slow. You know, not jump into too many hoops in these games and just, yeah, see where the list takes us. But hey, if you enjoy this sort of content, definitely consider subscribing to the channel. If you also want to get a donation deck list in, you can check it out on the greensunzenith.com under the Support Us tab. But let's get into it. Hey team, welcome back to round one. We're up against, I believe, Justin Ganari, which is cool. We have a 5-lander with Crop and Endurance. The 5-lander does have 2 spells in Maze and Wasteland, or spell lands I like to say. We get to cast pretty much anything we want. Against Unfed decks, we do just have like Crop for Bojuka Bog, which is kind of cool. I definitely don't mind this. Like, we get to cast anything we draw into, which I'm a big fan of. And although like a Green Sun start or potentially a Mox start would be good, I still don't see a reason to throw this away, so pretty happy to keep this. I would assume Justin might be on something a little bit unfair, potentially like an Ancient Tomb deck, but here we are. Okay, well, I think here the only thing we can do is take out this Ancient Tomb, but allowing them to have the Grim means that potentially next turn they even have access to the One Ring. Just off 1 land, which is pretty brutal. And, okay. So this will be tough, but cool to see what they're playing. I'm going to assume that it's a little bit left field, and it might be something like a paradoxical outcome list here. Best thing we could probably draw is going towards Green Suns for Gaddock Teeg. Okay, that's a start. Go for Savannah. Reclaimer. I could have 6 here. I just want to hold up Endurance potentially. Okay. All right. A lot of value here. So paradoxical outcome, for those of you who don't know what it is, return any number of target non-land, non-token permanents you control to their owner's hands. Draw a card for each card returned to your hand this way. Pretty sweet. So against this matchup, Force of Vigor is pretty great. Collector Ouphe obviously is probably the mainstay. We don't need, I believe, Sword Plowshares. That's a pretty easy cut. So it's kind of going to be a non-creature combo deck. Khan, the Great Creator, is probably another threat to think about. But the One Ring by itself is obviously quite good. If they are in blue, I don't think anything like Carpet of Flowers or Choke is worth it. I think the bears in this matchup are pretty big. So Gaddock Teeg, Collector Ouphe being the 2 main ones. I would assume they bring in Dismember, which is a card to think about with some things like Ouphe and Teeg. Crop for Sejiri Steppe I think is still worth it. Sylvan Safekeeper, it's still great. It's probably going to be the... Solitude and Swords and Maze, that's 7 cards, which allows us to move towards 2 Deafening Silence, 2 Force, one Collector Ouphe. I don't think Surgical's worth it, but we'll see what happens. Maybe a Solitude is worth just keeping in to have a removal piece that also is just a creature as well that can get there. Ooh, Coveted Jewel, okay. When ETBs draw 3 cards, add 3 mana of any one color, pretty much Lotus. Whenever one or more creatures an opponent controls attacks you and you aren't blocked, that player draws 3 cards. Oh. And gains control. Interesting. But I assume here we see another outcome. I think it's moments like this where, sure, we're getting comboed off on turn 3, but instead of getting salty about it, it's like, hey, imagine being in their shoes and just, yeah, how cool it would feel to be going off. Like you have 25 cards in hand on turn 3. You've probably seen maybe, I guess, nearly 30 cards so far of your deck. Pretty sweet. And I know Justin's a streamer, so very cool to be doing this on stream as well, potentially. But yeah, if you do like, I guess, legacy content now, but also vintage content, definitely check out Justin on Twitch. I believe he is twitch.tv/ let me check. I won't look at his name. It is, I'm actually level 1. Yeah, there we go. I would love to know how the deck wins. I assume maybe like Khan for a big Ballista. I don't think the deck plays Tendrils or Brain Freeze or anything like that. Emrakul maybe? Emrakul being the deck isn't like far-fetched. Also nice against things like Painter and potentially Show and Tell. This is... yeah, it doesn't get much worse than this. I do just want to see what is in the deck. So... another ring. Emrakul, there we go. All right. So, what do we like? We really want to have some sort of plan against the early game, and that is Deafening Silence. Especially against cards like Grim Monolith and the keys untapping it, Deafening Silence is pretty great. Obviously, these cards as well are very good, so Force of Vigor and Collector Ouphe, alongside Gaddock Teeg and Outland Liberator, I think are the bears that we want to see. The 4 swords are a pretty easy cut. The Maze, most likely as well. We do have... yeah, like that is 60 just there, which is pretty interesting. I do like that this sort of sideboard allows us just to continue with what we're doing. Solitude does also deal with Emrakul, which is nice because when it comes into play, you can then exile Emrakul. It's not actually a spell. So I think something like this, I don't think Tower of the Magistrate is needed. I'm trying to think of, like, you know, walking Ballista, but I think we have, you know, ways out of that. So I think something like this is nice where, you know, you're not bringing in too many sideboard cards. You have some really big heavy hitters. You're probably wanting to keep a hand with a hand with one of these in it. So hopefully we get to see that. Mox Diamond does have some counterplay with Collector Ouphe, but typically if you have Collector Ouphe in play against a deck like this, you're going to be happy either way. I could drop things like Bojuka Bog, but I think having the mana is pretty key, especially with 26 lands and still keeping the 3 Mox in. All right, on the play, which is great. And look, we have a hand with Force, but not too much else. We do also have potentially Savannah Pass, Flagstones, and then have a way to crop rotation for Wasteland without going down on mana, which is kind of nice because the Flagstones will replace itself, but I think it just isn't good enough. I think this is probably a matchup and combo in general where it's not about card quantity, it's about card quality. And this hand doesn't really do a whole lot. Like if we have to use Force and crop on turn 1, then we just have 5 lands. And without depth in the deck, we don't have a way to just draw naturally into like a 2020. So pretty happy to mulligan this. Not much better, but like when we're looking at a 5, we're looking at, say, 3 lands, a spell, and Deafening Silence. But I think this is just a little bit like, again, Force turn 1, probably pitching Titania. Then we just have lands and Endurance. I don't think that's going to be a winning play. Well, this can definitely happen. Just getting a little bit too fair here. And could be boarding as well. You know, because Deafening Silence is a card you want in your opening hand, maybe 3 copies is minimum. So we could go to 4 cards, but that's not obviously great from like a winning perspective. But, you know, although, sure, we could keep 5 cards. Is there a set of 5 cards here that's actually going to win us the game? Probably not. Okay, well, we didn't really get there. So let's bottom the Bog. Bottom the Yav. Bottom Endurance, and I guess we get to try to go Green Suns for Collector Ouphe on turn 2. Really hope they have a slowish start. But yeah, I think the issue with those hands were just like, in the blind, maybe some of them would be okay, but otherwise, a little bit tough. Okay. For some reason, I thought that I had like double Green Suns, and I could Green Suns for Dryad Arbor into turn 2 Collector Ouphe. For some reason, that just came to mind, but obviously not. I would assume they're not a Force deck. Okay, they are a Force deck. Well, I was going to say because I believe Paradoxical is really the only blue card? Maybe not. I guess we'll see. Alright, one more turn. Next turn we can Green Suns for Collector Ouphe, but it could be too late, to be fair. We'll see how it goes. Okay. Now this is actually a spot where we don't want to cast the Mox, because if we go for Collector Ouphe here, we want to turn on 3 drops like Neither Reliquary. Or potentially Green Suns again for 2. Now all I want to do is try to get something that would allow us to protect the Collector Ouphe. Green Suns for Sylvan's Safekeeper would be fantastic. Crop rotation wouldn't be too bad. Another Mox isn't great. But here we are. This is nearly turning off the Ancient Tomb. Like, in a few turns, they won't be able to use the Ancient Tomb if they don't draw into something like Dismember. Okay. That does give them protection for the turn, but Collector Ouphe doing a lot of work here, to be fair. Bog doesn't do a whole lot, but it does allow us to potentially play the Solitude next turn. No point attacking because they do have protection. Grim's fine, they have 3 cards left. Stage is nice. End step we have Solitude, put them to 1. Which really turns off the ring and also the tomb. Even if they were to dismember this, they would need to go to 2 life, the Solitude gets there. So you can see here where like the card quality of Collector Ouphe outweighs any sort of draw of like Elvish Reclaimers or another Reliquaries, or just really super good. Really super good. No targets. This is Dryad Arbor, which is also another attacker through Thespian Stage, which is cool. I think the Deafening Silence off the top was the big one, because then they wouldn't be able to force the Collector Ouphe. Oh, Repeal. Okay. Well, now they got a lot of mana. Oh, this could be it. Okay. Okay. Probably another ring. Or another jewel. Oh, Paradox Engine, okay. Thankfully, 1 Emrakul Swing gets rid of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we have Dryad Arbor for the win. So we'll see what happens here. They do play Saga. That makes sense. Oh, wait a second. They need another blocker, right? Because Dryad Arbor plus stage. Yeah. I guess Karakas off the top allows us to get there. All right. One time. Come on, Karakas. Ah, okay. Ah, of course they get another turn. All right. We'll see you in round 2. Hey, welcome back to round 2. A pretty lackluster hand. Turn 3 Ramunap, just not where we want to be. So let's mulligan this. Oh, okay. Pretty happy to keep this. It's probably just the extra Mox that I want to drop here. Teeg could be interesting. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think it's going to be keep. Bottom of Mox just because of that card disadvantage. And then we have turn 1 Elvish Reclaimer, potentially turn 1 Teeg if it's needed. Bloodstained Maya, okay. Bloodstained Maya typically a Reanimator style deck. Which isn't great. I don't really want to play a turn 1 Reclaimer into it. But we'll see. I mean, if we get the Reclaimer online, then we just have Bojuka Bog open for the rest of the game. So I'm going to assume it's End Step Entomb, but you never know. No. Okay. I still feel unsafe. Let's be fair there. Oh, Underground Sea. Okay. Which could be there for show and tell postboard, so this could still be Reanimator. Probably not now. Ah. Well. Well, I guess Teeg was pretty decent. And now we just have lands. Okay. Damn. That can happen. That can happen. That's just that's Echo in a nutshell. I mean, Green Sons of the top would be sweet. No. Guess we take them off Underground Sea. And then just hold up Bojuka Bog. I probably should have played out the extra Mox. But we'll see. This definitely feels like another Echo. Okay. I could go for like another Wasteland here. Try to double Wasteland them. I don't mind that. There's nothing too much better to do. It also allows us to draw into Green Suns again. Crop rotation. Very similar. Crop's a little bit awkward because we would want a land. I don't think there's a world where it's relevant to have Bojuka Bog open. At least post-board we do a Veil as well, which is nice. Allow us to pass back. We get another draw. I guess we play Canopy. That way we could also try to draw something. And then play another Reclaimer. This way we have Canopy and Crop open. Maybe I should have Wastelanded. Maybe I should still Wasteland. Yeah. I believe it's worth it. Crop isn't doing a whole lot more. If anything, I should have done this in my turn as well. And probably off a basic, just so that I have the Canopy potentially to draw into specifically Teeg next turn. No, because I'd have to get rid of something as well. Peer into the Abyss. Okay. Two combo decks, definitely not what we want to hit, but we do have things like Teeg. We do have, obviously, some great sideboard cards as well. They should probably do one more, just to play around Swords to Plowshares, but they don't. I guess... Yeah, I guess they could try. Okay. I do like the Veils, the Deafening Silence, the Forces, the Ouphe, the tab just in case of empty. We can take out the Removal, the Maze, the Solitudes. Ramunap's a little bit slow. Probably Titania, sadly. This is pretty good. I don't think we need the extra endurance. Pretty happy with this. Pretty lackluster. This is a turn 1 Reclaimer. With Surgical Open, yeah. Deafening Silence would be a great hit. I mean, Veil isn't the worst, but also, like, what is it actually doing? No, it's a Deafening Silence kind of hit. Like, yeah, 1 land. Down to 4. I guess we keep, and I guess we just try to go for turn 1 Dryad Arbor, turn 2 Gaddock Teeg. Tough. Again, no Deafening Silence, and maybe that, yeah. Maybe it should be a 3 of. At least Echo isn't the greatest for them. Okay. Mox and another Relay. It's pretty interesting. We get to take out the Mox and the Chromox. Let's go for Savannah. It's kind of a 3-for-1 because I got rid of the decay, which is nice. Oh, there we go. I think we're just going for Teeg here. Teeg just turned off our own Green Suns, which means we can't Green Suns for Collector Ouphe. That is a reason to go for Collector Ouphe first, but I think Teeg just turning off a lot of their actual win cons is great. They could just put Guy's Will on Suspend? No. I mean, more power on the board's always nice. Teeg definitely seeing a lot more play these days, which is great. Oh, we get a flip. Deafening Silence? Surgical. Okay. I think we just hold the Surgical for now. Nothing great to take. Relay we don't care about because it's an extra turn after. Wow, we actually got that. That does not happen much. We're probably just running this back. My only thought is taking out a Nissa for the endurance. Seeing Guy's Will there. I think we're pretty happy to keep this. A little bit awkward with the Bog coming in tapped, but we have Force of Vigor, probably on the night. Surgical if we really need it. Surgical, I think, is just better than other cards. I could be really aggressive and force here before they get to pitch a card, but I really want to get something else. Like this, if they try to play another. They're probably going for Beseech here, so I think here we hit both of these before they can Beseech. Gal. Okay. I could Bog here. They're going to Thoughtseize. They have one card left in these. I think it's Bog just to potentially maybe turn off a Cabal, but that's probably not happening here. I think it's Bog. I could Green Suns for Dryad Arbor, but I'd probably rather keep the Green Suns, so it's a little bit harder to know what to take. Probably the Ouphe that they know about it, but... The question is, do I want to take something with the Surgical first? Like Relay or Ritual? Probably not. Yeah, so I think like having 3 mana over the next few turns is actually quite nice. Start with Brainstorm. Okay. Tough. Hitting the 3, like hitting Affinity on Middlecraft is very good here. I think I'll just take out the LEDs here. We're not going to be able to get them with the Ouphe, most likely. Tendrils, Two Thought Seeds, Ritual, Burning Wish, Decay, Beseech. Okay. This does open up Mox Diamond for Mox into Green Suns for Teeg, which is nice. There it is. Yikes. Damn. Meant to draw a card, but yeah, tough one. Tough one. Maybe going for Deafening Silence turn 1 is maybe the play. Maybe it's just more Deafening Silence in the deck, but we'll see. We'll catch you in game 3. Hey team, welcome back for round 3. On the play, which is nice, pretty happy to keep this. Probably just turn 1 Reclaimer off the... Probably just the Savannah. Plateau. Okay. This could be Painter, which means this Liberator is quite nice. I could play it out with mana open, but I think this is fine. I don't mind playing this step this turn. And this holding up crop rotation. Teeg doesn't do a whole lot in this matchup, so I think having it for the Solitude is quite nice. As this is free, I don't really have to do anything right now, so we'll just pass. Get a land, which is nice. Attack, trigger, take out the Fable. That's some really nice value. Wow, they're going to double block. I think then this is probably good enough to go after with Solitude, but it is tough. This kind of makes me feel like they have the combo, but they don't have anything great to remove this with. Yeah, let's try. Play the Windswept and then pass with Crop Up. I don't want to use Wasteland just yet. If they play a Saga, then I will go for Wasteland. I guess if they play a Saga, then I just have the Frenzied Trapbreaker anyway. This is fine. Wow, they can't double spell either. Trapbreaker doing so much here. Just have a quick think. Yeah, I think we're just saving this for Bog, if needed. I could take them off this, but I'm pretty happy to see if they try to go for the Dragon Engine. Don't want to show the Wasteland just yet. Mum. Did not expect Mum. There's no point, I guess. The point of not attacking here is that they attack with the Shaman to get the treasure. We block and then they get Pro to turn off the Mum for 1 turn. So I think here it's just best to pass back. And when they go for Engineer, we can crop the Bog. Probably just getting rid of the Yav. Don't attack. Interesting. Pretty mediocre draws here, but not too much we can do about that. I mean, Green Sunspot Titania changes things, which is kind of nice. Nice to know that that line is definitely open. We have 2 lands, plus the Windswept Heath, so like 20 power. Go for a bridge. Okay. Maybe I should also be holding this for Nissa. Guess we should just sack. Probably hit the treasure token, actually goes away. The Great Furnace they can just get back. I guess, yeah, either way. Now we need to endurance ourselves to be able to get away from the bridge. Huh. Okay. I think we want a double wasteland. But probably keep this one for a Saga. They have one card left. There's no point using the fetches here, just because of Nissa also finding... Okay. Quick look. Yeah. I think it's Nissa and hope to find a... endurance. They have the blast. Okay. Like, Wasteland does keep them off Grindstone plus 3 mana, but I think I'd rather just keep a Saga off the field, as that's also just a really nice way to find Grindstone. Okay. We have one less card than them in the deck. Okay. That's tough. Yeah. Like, we could try to Wasteland them, but... Alright. Just members, good. Collector Ouphe and Force of Vigors, good. Endurance, I don't mind. Teeg out. Maze. Bog's still relevant. I don't mind going down on Moxen. Safekeeper quite nice as keeping things alive. Solitude still good. Ramunap not really needed, especially with Titania as well. Really want to keep Titania in this, at least at this version. Surgical, like, sometimes, but not great. Tower's interesting. Could see going down to 1 Nissa. And then the stage does copy Saga, which is kind of cool. Might actually just be a crop. Like, crop is fine, but nothing like that we really need. Okay, like 2 lands with like some action. Kind of awkward to use the bog so early on, but really awkward start to have like Dismember and then also a Pain land, but that is all good. To be fair, we can get rid of the bog and then Endurance ourselves, potentially. Okay. Probably just Liberator here. See if we can flip it. That is fine. They lost their Saga, which is pretty huge. I'm not going to lie. Bit of a tricky one. I think we want to dismember the mum here and then endurance them. We have to find a green card or a green land for that. But this is just a little bit too hard to play, like to keep on the field. Could also try to draw a land here, but then we do take ourselves off one green, so we have to try to draw here. Nice. So if they go for it, we do have the endurance. Just kind of like the high risk, high reward play. Soul Guide is fine. Cool artwork. Okay, they're gonna wait to see if what we hit. Happy to try to hit the needle. Endurance them. Happy to wasteland here. Just because we also have the frenzied or saga. Keeping them down on as much mana as possible is quite good. Just remember also showing up, which is nice. Okay. I don't mind drawing a card first before everything. This is a two-tone clock. Yeah, nice. Probably just running this back. Seeing the Magus, potentially an extra Mox. Probably don't need all 4 endurance, but it is really nice to have them. I could see a Solitude. Like, 2-for-1ing yourself isn't great, and we do have a lot of removal and dismember and swords now. So I think that's fine. Make sure the mana's on point. Solitude does get rid of Magus as well, but not as effectively. Okay, pretty happy to keep this. No turn 1 play. I think because of that, I'm actually happy just to go... Forest into Dryad Arbor. And if they have a bolt, then that's fine. But it gets us closer to Force of Vigor as well, which is nice. If they play a Painter here, we just get a 2 for 2. Fury's definitely a card to consider. Okay. If they trade here, the Reclaimer becomes a 3/4, which is pretty huge. And I'm pretty happy with that. This could be getting a white source for Sword Plowshares. Okay. I mean, we have many of those, so that's all good. Could use my mana effectively here in Green Suns for a Reclaimer, but I kind of like just playing a Reclaimer out. Okay. Nothing too great to do here. I could just Green Suns for Outland. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they could just have it potentially. I don't mind playing Step and then just passing. This holds up Flagstones as well, which is cool. Get rid of a painter, another tomb. Okay. I guess we get Savannah. Probably just a wasteland. 1, 2, 3, 4. Could try to Green Suns there for a Knight. Three, 6, 8, go to 12. That's fine. We haven't used the bog yet. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we could Green Suns for Titania and then also hold up crop rotation. We do also want to get rid of the reflections. Tough. So I think here it's just take out reflections, take out painter, and then hold up crop for bog. Knight would be a 4/4, but it's too slow. Yeah. See if we can hold up on the crop just for now. Happy to take this. They're thinking about going for it now. A land would be perfect. No. But endurance isn't too bad either. The issue is if they just go straight to attacks, we kind of have to play endurance. They then welder, we then crop, they then welder. Could also just endurance now, then the crop doesn't do a whole lot. I guess, do we have crop for Maze, or do we take Maze out? I think we took Maze out, yeah. The issue is if I Green Suns for Titania, 2, 4, 6, I get a land back, but if they do anything in the meantime, I guess we have endurance then. Okay. Yeah. Four, 5. Now they're going to try to do it. We do this pitching crop. Get back Wasteland. Target them. Titania. Trigger. Wasteland. This also means we can Wasteland ourselves to get 2 blockers, which is really nice. They have 1 card. Could just put Ouphe in front. And then swing back with 15. Pretty open to Swords to Plowshares there. That's pretty tough. I think we return her. Play a land. Play her. Get back Wasteland again. And then just do this right now. Play around removal. Mox is fine. Ridge. Okay. We have ways out of that. Swords is good to have. Happy to keep the Wasteland around. We also get to return Titania at the end of their turn and then replay. Ooh, okay. I feel like we should do that next turn. Probably just get a fetch so we can hold up the swords. Nice. I mean, we could sort something there, but I think here we just go for Green Suns for Outland Liberator. Take out the bridge. Swords a little guy. We don't really need to anyway. Attack with all. 5, 5, and 5 gets through. They block 5, 5 gets through. Oh, I should have thought about this. Aye, aye, aye. Yes. Is there any way to play around that? No, you'd need to have access to some sort of graveyard hate. Yikes. Happy to wasteland that on site. I guess we should... We're actually down on time, so let's go after their goblins here. Okay. We can do this. We can do this. Removal spell, and then also artifact enchantment hate. Okay. I guess that just means we just hold up endurance to endurance ourselves. Bit of a puzzle here, but we have a plan. Just gotta get that darn welder off the field. I could hold this until I actually find removal, but I think we're all good. Not sure why this trap breaker is flipped though. Right deck. Okay. That's Bojuka Bog, I believe. So that helps. Second hit the bridge. And then attack with everything. They weld up, we bog in response. That's fine. Luckily it wasn't bolt. That would be kind of scary. Alright, so we second hit the bridge. And then we attack with everything but the Reclaimer. And then in response to the welder, we bog them. Nice. There we go. That's pretty cool. Very nice. Alright, we're on the board, which is cool. We'll see you in round 4. Hey team, welcome back. We're on the play with a pretty good hand. Pretty happy to keep this. Probably going to go Yav, Mox, pitch Plains, play Reclaimer, and then also have crop rotation open if needed. Start with Mox, pitch Plains, Yav, Reclaimer. Nice. Bayou. Okay, interesting. Reclaimer. All right. I think here we're just going to keep them off there. Reclaimer. And probably just hold up ours to go and get Flagstones. I could also crop into Flagstones and build out from there. Interesting. So here I actually don't mind. Crop the Yav into Flagstones and then sack Flagstones for Reclaimer. That gets us up to 3 lands next turn. This is most likely going to be Abzan depths. So off this we get a Savannah. And then off the Flagstones we get Sejiri Steppe. We get pro white. Does that mean they don't have another land? Didn't play a land and then swords. Well, they are stuck on the 1 land, okay. It's pretty good for us. Not a great wasteland target, but still. Pretty happy with where we are. Knight's a pretty great draw, so let's attack first and then play Knight. Still on the 1 land for them. Pretty happy just to attack here with both. Get aggressive. Okay. This is fine because it doesn't actually do anything. Like the Reclaimer's not going to trade with anything here. We're also going to get the... Oh, we're not going to get the step back, but... Yeah, that's a interesting play. Especially so early on, like they don't... I would say they don't really need to lose 2 cards just to save a little bit of life there. Alright, let's keep this pumping. We'll go after their graveyard. Maybe you don't want to give them the swords back, but I think we're already at the stage where that isn't going to matter too much. Okay, let's just pump the brakes for a second. Attack with Endurance. Play the Library, hold up Reclaimer, and Knight. Library fantastic here as well, because we just have so much life as a resource. We can probably just pay 8 next turn if there is a next turn. Ooh, Maze is the one land they probably don't want to find, as he doesn't tap for mana. Alright, let us get rid of the step. Probably go and get a Flagstones. Sack a Savannah. Go and get a Wasteland. They don't have Crop open, which is great for us. I mean, we're so close to lethal. This could just be a hard lock. Get back Savannah next turn. I don't think they're going to be playing like Elvish Spirit Guide. Some post decks are now doing that, but here we're just crashing in for a bunch of damage. And you can see here where like one little stumble really adds up. Yeah, unfortunate. The extra endurance I like. Dismembers. That's probably it. Gaddock Teeg out. Collector Ouphe is out already. All the lands are pretty good. Could potentially go down on a Nissa. Probably a Mox. Mox starts are nice, but with one library, it's pretty hard to make up that card disadvantage early on. That a little bit like Force of Will coming out against some of the blue decks or against the more fair decks. You just don't want to two-for-one yourself. And although there is an advantage to it, you can still find the 2 in your opener. This doesn't have it, but I think this is still okay. It's a little bit rough having the Dryad Arbor and no removal, but we have Library. Like Mox with the Dryad Arbor in hand is nice. Could play out the Safekeeper, but maybe it is right to play out the Safekeeper. I'm not really saving anything anyway, so if they want to use a removal spell on Safekeeper, that's fine. It's a little bit tough if they are a deck with, say, Grist and Orcish Bowmaster, with just a few more ways to deal with it than usual. Holding up Endurance? Playing a Knight. Ramunap. Okay. Thankfully here we can just go for 2 basics. Play around Wasteland. Build out mana. Yeah, Maze typically not a card you want in your opener. Same with Safekeeper, same with Dryad Arbor, so I could see a mulligan. And we get a draw here, which is pretty nice. Wow. We are paying for all of this. We probably just want to go and get rid of the Reclaimer here. Guess they could have crop, but if they're cropping away, I don't really mind that. And just get a Elvish Reclaimer on the board. No end step shenanigans. So no Swords to Plowshares in hand as of yet. Wasteland's fine. It does turn the Reclaim into a 3/4, so now they can't attack. Unless they have removal as well. They could do a pretty cool bait where they attack with both and then just act like they have Endurance open, but they don't. So a small win there for sure. Oh my gosh. We're just going to pass back here. Most likely swords in upkeep. Okay. Knight's fine because we do have the swords on top still. So I'm not going to do anything here. Library just really allowing us to control this game. Just really nice to see. I will play probably just the Dryad Arbor out this turn. It's a great land to sack to Reclaimer if needed. And also just gives us access to green mana next turn. I mean, it turns on Wasteland pretty much. Alright, let's turn this Savannah into a Flagstones. We just put you away. Put on top, put on top. I'm gonna play the stage here. Hold up Solitude. Happy to see if they want to wasteland us. Hitting the stage, that's fine. Stage isn't doing a whole lot anyway. Maybe defensively, without us knowing, but... We have a wasteland already. Flagstones gets nothing. So it might just be Yav. And then we need to start winning this game, so let's endurance them. Play the Wasteland. Then we get to attack with everything. Or attack with these two and then hold up Solitude and Wasteland. I don't get the shuffle, but that's fine. I think at this stage we're happy with what's in hand. Not too sure what they have in hand if they're not doing anything. Take out Reclaimer. Now they have Crop. Oh, Legolas is crit reflexes. That's fine as they don't get access to it, which is nice. I could use Reclaimer here to get some new cards. But I think I'm okay just to not use it. Put on top, put on top. I guess Dismember's a card to think about. So we can actually attack with the Solitude and then use Dismember, which is nice. Thanks to Lifelink. That's pretty cool. But although they don't have reach, they do have Sejiri Steppe to get through something, so we do have to be cautious of that. Swamp. I guess now they have black mana, if they really wanted it. Get rid of the Yav. Let's go and get another Wasteland. I guess they do have Bowmaster potentially as well. Okay, that puts us down to 1. But thankfully we don't need to use it. Could have attacked with more as well, but here we are. Wow, yeah. It's gonna be it. Alright. Pretty cool. We'll see you in the final game. Hey team, welcome back to the 5th and final round. 2-2 currently. Up against the fair decks, down against the unfair. Pretty straightforward for a green-white deck that's a pretty mid-rangey one. And thankfully have a fan, which is very cool for the last one, which is always nice. Always very cool to see little messages from people before a game. Kind of makes it feel like an LGS kind of vibe, but yeah. Connor False. Nice. Playing a Brew. That's very cool. Okay. Pretty happy to keep this. Turn to Nissa. Don't want to play out the Mox just yet. This is a situation where Ancient Tomb would have been kind of cool. Wasteland. Okay. Honestly, I might just get a fetch land here. I think that's best with Nissa if we don't draw into another land or another like spell to cast this turn. It changes things a little bit. Now I like getting Reclaimer on board. And this way we get to Green Suns for Reclaimer, and the next turn play Nissa, play a land, potentially? Nissa. We need another land. We'll see. Alright, Yorion revealed Windswept Heath, Wasteland, Plains, Swords? Prismatic Ending. Okay, that's fair. I think now's the time just to get Nissa into play. But I can see where Nissa is a little bit tough, where you just, it's a little bit awkward to play, or you just don't have the setup for it. Alright, 1 green. What you got, Connor? Loam. Okay, that's fine. And they just cut 1, so they kind of go back 2. Nice. Make a green. Make a green. Ooh, Titania? Wow. 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 Oh my gosh. I can also endurance them if I want. Because now I get another green. Totally. Oh, I should have attacked. I should have attacked. Apologies. Apologies. Apologies, chat. I could also use the Wastelands in my turn to play around Karakas, but I think this is okay. Pretty sweet to actually hit Titania off Nissa. That's cool. Gives me 20 damage pretty much. Oh, actually more, because Wasteland hits Savannah. Of course, Titania is an elemental. I should have thought of that. I was thinking like, worst case, Solitude. Good case, Elvish Reclaimer. Best case, Endurance. But here we are. No cards in hand. Very fair. I feel, yeah. This is where we want to be. All right. It's a bit too fast. Teeg out. Endurance in. Surgical and Dismember. I don't like Surgical. Maybe Mox Diamond's actually like my unfair way to be in the fair matchup, so I think we'll keep it. Do I really need all 4 endurance? Maybe not. Kind of like, I actually really like this. Maybe it is just 1 Mox. No, let's go with the Moxen. I think Moxen like put you at like a, especially on the draw, getting ahead a little bit. Turn 1 Reclaimer is pretty sweet. Corrupt, Safekeeper. A lot of things here that are just so good. It could just be a Nissa, but like it's gonna get targeted pretty heavily. Could be a Wasteland. Honestly, I think it just because of the deck we're up against, like trying to attack their mana probably isn't the greatest when they're on things like potentially Crop. Most likely we saw Loam. Happy with this. We have pretty solid mana in like with Crop open for these. Dismember for removal. Okay. Knight's kind of nice. Drop. Library. Okay. I kind of like Dryad Arbor here because we have the Crop open to save it from anything. But Library really nice here. I assume just taking 8, or at least replacing itself, so that if we do destroy it next turn, they've gotten something out of it. There we go. Nice. Okay. Reclaim is actually pretty solid here, because it means we get to play Reclaimer. I could attack with the Dryad Arbor. It's like greedy. What could they have? Like a flash creature. No, we don't want to because we want to play Reclaimer and have Crop open. I feel like we just play our own Karakas. Oh, another card. Go to 8. Alright, pretty happy to see if we can save this. Getting rid of Dryad Arbor because it's just a little bit easier to deal with. If they want a swords in response, that's fine as well. It's 2 removal pieces. Go on. I would assume they're playing Uro, so I will keep the Bog for that. So I think next turn is going to be Wasteland. So it's fine. I assume Reclaimer, which we can dismember. Yeah, I think take them off their green source and then play our own knight. Hopefully I find a way to edit this out, because I feel like with a lot of mid-range decks that I play, I do have a lot of dead space in my videos, and this is exactly the sort of time that I want to get out, which I do have this application for, which is called Recut, which kind of allows you to put the video through Recut and it will cut out anything that goes below a certain decimal. So I could have it set at, say, a decimal higher than the music, but lower than my voice, so that if it goes above my voice, if I'm talking, then it cuts out anything else, which I think makes it much better from a viewing experience. Okay, they find a Heath. Interesting. We don't have great attacks because of, I guess, endurance we don't have to worry about. Guess we attack here. What's it gonna be? If they have no blockers, definitely getting this in. Puts him down to 3, the fetch puts him down to 2. Then we have two threats. I feel like if they had Swords or Prismatic, they'd use it on their turn, because the knight was summoning sick, and therefore couldn't potentially get another Sejiri Steppe, which we aren't playing, but they don't know that. 2 white. Containment Priest. Okay. Block short. I guess they could endurance us after. That's a lot of cards though. So they have the endurance. They do. Okay. So sadly here, because the 2 damage is marked, we can't save it with the Windswept Heath. But honestly, that's fine. We have the endurance here to follow up. And that has traded 3 cards for the night, so I think we're pretty happy there. So if they want to pay for an extra card, they go to 4. The fetch is 3, the endurance is 3. So we're pretty close to potentially getting under this library. Just cool. It's a good feeling. Library's very good in these sort of matchups. And you can tell. To be fair, hasn't been that great for Connor. He hasn't really found what he's been looking for in most likely more removal to control the board and then be able to be a bit more aggressive. Alright, this could be an Uro. Knight. Okay. Well, with how they tapped, they keep open the Wasteland. Now they have to block with the Knight. They could Wasteland themselves to save the Knight. I mean, Swords is pretty good. So I could also attack. They block. They Wasteland themselves. Probably the Flagstones, because they get another land from it. Shuffle the Library. Shuffle everything, really. Yeah, so I think we actually just... We could, like, Bog post board, but I think this is fine. They go to 5, and then we attack. With Endurance down to 2. Play Savannah. Hold the Bog. Blue, green one. Uro? Prismatic ending. Okay. I was gonna say Solitude would be kind of cool here. I don't want to play the Bog just yet. But Solitude being a flash creature is pretty great. There's nothing that I can really hit that allows them to go above the fold, but... If they Uro, I'm still not Solituding it. We're just going to end step and then bogging in our turn. They have to sack a land. They probably just sack the Flagstones as it's pretty much free. They have the Wasteland for the Karakas. Oh, they didn't have a land left. They've got both of... Oh no, they get... Did they get a land? I don't believe they did. Maybe they did. I should know that. Ooh, that's pretty sweet. Doesn't do a whole lot just yet. They have to block. Play the Nissa. That's 2 threats. It's tough because they have the Karakas for the Nissa. They have the Wasteland for our Karakas. But they can't get to a situation here where they can Yorion and Karakas or Yorion and... I guess they can Yorion and Wasteland. Misty. Nothing. Come on, fetch land. It's not too bad either. Guess we attack with both. If they have endurance, they have endurance. Make them have it. Turn this. That's okay. Okay. Happy to hit this now, hold up the Karakas, and just pass. Rather get a 1. I wonder if they play like a Triome. Dryad Arbor, okay. So they have 3 cards. We know 1 is Yorion. Teferi's fine. Interesting. No attack with Dryad Arbor. I think it's just Flagstone's pass. What's the point of playing the Nissa? Yeah, because then they can just make like Wasteland the Karakas, then bounce the Nissa to draw a card. I'd rather try to get value off Nissa before anything else. Looks like a no red style deck. Pretty happy to play the Nissa now that this Teferi's down to 3. Down to 2, sorry. Not on 3. Oh, of course, they have Karakas. Yes, that happens. Crop doesn't do a whole lot here. I guess it helps with the Nissa. Oh, we can't crop, of course. Because of the, yeah. Teferi. It's going to crop for Wasteland, but it's all good. Urion's still in hand. I guess I could crop first, get rid of the Karakas, and then cast Nissa. Don't have to worry about Containment Priest because the Teferi's pretty nice. I should have played the Teferi first. Sorry, the Nissa. Because of the, should have played it first because of the Karakas being tapped. What do we like? Honestly, more threats doesn't seem the worst. Nothing great for surgical. But it could just be better than stage. No. No. Not worth it. Maybe down on a Solitude. I kind of like that. $81 cards post. Okay. It's a 1-lander. I'm not going to keep this, even though it has the library. We just want to hit our land. Okay. Happy to keep this and put back the... Probably the insurance. Okay. Canopy Pass. One small thing might be if you do want to use the Reclaimer, use the Windswept in upkeep so that if I draw into removal, then I can't use it in response. There's nothing that I really want to cast here. I'd rather cast with a mana open. Flagstones is cool. Swords or Dismember is what I'm after here. It's not too bad. I like getting another body in play that isn't Safekeeper just yet. Move towards Ramunap into Safekeeper next turn, and then Titania the following turn. Map, wow. Probably finding Karakas. Okay. You could Karakas and attack as well. Maybe time is just a thing here as well. Pretty happy to try to gum up the board here. Nice. Get back this. Get back the Fetch land. Fetch. I want to get crop online. Nice. Well, there we go. We finished 3-2, which is nice. Up against the more fairer decks of the format and down to combo, which I think for me is probably just probably needing a little bit more in terms of like more deafening silence. Potentially something like Tower of the Magistrate isn't needed. But overall, pretty happy. Like Titania was really strong. In the games where you could go a little bit slower with Safekeeper, we saw that. The Nissa was pretty great. A few times it was a little bit awkward, but I think overall we were happy with any sort of target, especially Titania. But, you know, even just because the land also produces a green mana off Nissa, then getting Reclaimer is fine as well. I think the mana could probably work around a little bit. Like, there's no real need for the stage. I think that's just being a bit too cute. So I could see that getting cut. I don't think this is a once upon a time deck. I don't think you want to keep hands where you're not too sure what that once could be. But yeah, overall, really happy with it. So John, a huge thank you for the donation deck list. Very, very cool. I hope you enjoyed it as well. But yeah, like I think combo is going to be tough for this matchup, or a very challenging matchup. So having the Teeg in the main deck is nice. Having obviously some more sideboard cards in the game as well is tough. Because we are this sort of deck, I could see like potentially Carpet not being needed, because we do have a few ways to generate mana, like Mox Diamond, and then also crops and reclaimers and knights to make use of lands that get targeted with wastelands. So potentially Carpet is a soft spot. Tabernacle maybe as well. Like, we are still running a fair amount of creatures that empty the wounds, and, you know, potentially getting your Delver opponent who has 1 land but 3 creatures is not really where you want to be. So this probably isn't as much of a Tabernacle deck as I'd like it to be. So I think you could easily like add in Deafening Silence, take out the tab. That shores up a little bit more. I kind of want some sort of like heavy hitter for the more mid-range matchups, and I think that card is actually just good old Tireless Tracker. I think Tireless would be pretty sweet in this list as another scout, but I'm not too sure where it would fit. Maybe over Ramunap. Ramunap could be just a sideboard card where you want, you know, the Wasteland Lock and things like that. But yeah, overall, I had a lot of fun with the list, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. You can find the deck list in the video description. Of course, I'll be back on Twitch Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. or 9:30 p.m. 9-ish. 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and then usually Sunday mornings or evenings, 10:30 a.m. or 8 p.m. So, yeah. Thanks again. Catch you next time.